Good morning, good morning. And where are we? Let's have a look. Back home. Oh no, back not home, whatever. Back not home. Good morning, guys. Thanks very much. Thanks for putting up with the other one the other day. And I'm not sure if I've got all the settings switched back properly. I had it set for 720, but I've put it back to 1080. Are all the settings the same? Who knows? Give it a try. If something was wrong, let me know, because I could have forgotten to set something back the way it was. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Usual crowd gathered together to show. Oh, what's on it for today? We're going to be, of course, working on the little boys, the color blocks. Maybe finish this one, start the next one. I'm really not sure. We have a show and tell. Little trivial, nothing. Little envelope with something, nothing. Big deal. I might lose it here. Here it goes. Fridge is going to take care of it if I forget. So I know somebody wrote to me, talked about the end of the Ome stream. Dave, you got to check out the end of the Ome stream to see what happened. And I'm like, did the plug fall out of the camera or something? I don't know. I haven't had time to look at it. And I'm going back there more. Probably won't have a chance next week. Got too many meetings here next week. There's lots going on. But the week after that, I'll get back there. I know I really enjoyed my time. I know it's 8 o'clock in the morning now. 24 hours ago, I was like up to it here in the water, just whatever. You know, if those of you who saw that stream, we looked out the window past my left side and we saw the waterfall. It's a weir, not a waterfall, it's a weir. And that's where I spent most of yesterday morning, in the water underneath that weir, then out for a while sitting on top of the weir, reading a book, whatever. Paper's not out. You're the second or perhaps third person to ask. There is no need to bring the paper out. The fridge upstairs with the chart that shows what printers are here is now blank for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. It's not that they're all not working. It's that the ones who have been coming here, Dei-chan and Ishikawa-san, they are working. Well, Ishikawa-san's gone for the summer holidays. Obon. Ayumi-san's in Hokkaido for summer holidays. Dei-chan's working at home. So no paper out, but it's not a bad idea to keep reminding me. The cable pulled off. Also, the best part, looking aside, okay, whatever. If we do over the next year, if it turns out that my schedule is going to be back there a lot more, we will set up some actual camera stands outside. You'll clamp some tripods onto the railing and have the camera in and out. How soon does the Oban print start? I have no plans to make an Oban print at all. No plans at all, Johnson. What are you referring to? Oban, the holiday? Bon, B-O-N. A little knowledge is a dangerous thing. It's on and it's off. It's not one of those holidays that starts Thursday the 2nd and goes to this. It's a generic religious seasonal mood thing. In general, companies will let their employees off for a long weekend or a week during August sometime. If you Google it, you'll see it's not a specific time. Although there is usually a peak weekend when most of the companies have let their employees off at the same time. So the trains get packed and stuff like that. But this year it's a bit funny because, of course, we've got the two things. I know the government is saying people get out, go spend money, go to the rural areas, and the rural areas are saying, I don't want these city people here, stay away. So there's a huge, I know. If I said it's not fight is not the right word, but there's a policy, whatever. Got my coffee here too. Somebody's mentioning just before the stream started this morning during the warm-up, and Miss KP here, Miss Vivid KP, posted a link to her newest print. I'm going to repost it now. Go and see this. Either go and see it right now or go and see it later. I spent the last 10 minutes before the stream looking at that, not just the print, but looking at the page. When you get to that link there, you'll see the print up top, which is really beautiful. She's cheating because she admits it, because it's wet still. It makes it look really nice and rich, the rich colors. But it looks great. But what's really, really cool about it is when you scroll down to the bottom of the page. I went through it backwards. I wasn't smart enough to jump to the bottom and come back up. So I went through backwards, watching the print get worse and worse and worse and worse as we went along. And the key takeaway here, the key takeaway is the concept of iteration. The print at the bottom of the page was Karen's first attempt at it. She had sketched and cut and whatever, and the print was whatever. It's a woodblock print by someone who doesn't have too much experience. She could have left it there and put it aside, said, okay, now I'm going to go and do it again. And most people, 99%, that's it. They leave it there and away they go, and then they make a next one. It's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Iteration in terms of designs. But Karen grabbed that thing and said, okay, let's see. Those clouds are clearly too dark. This is to this. This is to this. And the iteration that she went through, going through, it's fantastic. And that's really, really key. You know, maybe Karen saw the printers upstairs doing some of this when she was here. I don't know. We do it here, the printers, just in terms of some color densities and stuff, because the carving is finished and the design is finished. Karen's doing it all, so she can reiterate by carving off blocks and stuff. Karen, beautiful job, and beautiful masterclass. It's an absolute masterclass, and it would really be cool to have that a bit more attention so people can find this and see that idea of the first one. And maybe if you could build a page somewhere the other way around, because people coming to look at that page right now wouldn't get that idea. But if you could make a separate page saying, you know, whatever, Mark 1 or Step 1, whatever, and then here's what I thought, here's what I needed to do, move along, move along, move along, move along. And if there was a page where it went the other way around and ending up at the finished one, that would be really super helpful, I think, to people, not in your position, but to people who are nowhere near as good as you are yet. So. Anyway, thanks for linking that. That's a really, really beautiful job. Some of the things about that image are kind of fun. We would never do some of those things here. This is not in any way a criticism. This is just a description of things that I'm laughing at here. Karen has done some of the drawing there with you know, we're using a brush and blah, 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 blah. So Karen's got places where instead of a nice smooth rounded brush end, it's a spiky end. So the line and the line, they meet and they go past each other a little bit, and there's a little spike at each end. And I guess this is it. This is desert, spiky, cactus, you know, feeling. Very, very interesting to see different approaches. I'm a web designer, I'm just saying, I look at the content, you know. I understood it working backwards, but a beginner coming in would not see it backwards. They wouldn't understand what's going on, so, you know. Yeah, the clouds too, they were black, and she had outlines on the clouds at first. Get rid of those, dark black, it's so cool. And the conversation leads to a point, of course, the finished one she's got there, quote, finished, because it's the cut print. At some point, you either are just nibbling too much with it, or you're too close and you're digging, you can no longer see it anymore. I know Hiroshi Yoshida talked about this in his book, that at some point he can't do that anymore, because it's just, you end up changing it this way, coming back the next way, and you change it this way. Oh yeah, just wait a minute, which is best, which is right? You get stuck in the details. And at that point, he said, I don't know if he actually ever did this or whatever, but he says what he would do is he'd stick it up on the wall with a thumbtack, leave it there, and then not look at it again for a while, and then come back X months later, you see it fresh, and now you can see another round of changes. For me, whatever, Karen's finished it there, leave it there, and then move on to the next print. But a fabulous, fabulous process. Karen, are you linking to it again? Iteration, iteration, iteration. Iteration, iteration. Okay, what are we doing here? Where are we? We've done one color transfer, and it looks like we're partway through the carving. So let's get back to this. Oh, I forgot. My God, we have an outside view. Look at this. Talk about camera setting ups. Oop, sorry about that. Nobody even asked, or maybe you did, but I didn't notice. Sorry. Okay, it's going to be difficult to keep this in the view here without the scope, but whatever. The circle of light you see here, it's because there's a spot. You can see it shining on my bald spot here. There's a spotlight shining from up top. And I've got the lens here. Okay, see if I remember how to do this. What's a bald spot? We each have our own standards on this. It's there. But I agree. I have nothing to complain about in that sense. No complaints. But there's a huge, funny, thin patch on the top. Of course, you can see the skin. But no, David is not complaining in any way about that situation. No, it's not a new lens. I've had this for years and years and years and years and years. I've had this for long before I got the scope. I know, for me, it's been a progression. Didn't used to use anything at all. Then it was, of course, glasses. And then when did I get this lens? I don't know. During the Poet series, for sure. So 1995 or something like that. No idea. 25 years or so ago. Man, I enjoyed myself so much out in Ome this time, So nice. It's a different world. It's funny, I got out there in the afternoon on the Wednesday, I guess it was, or something, and middle of the afternoon, just after lunch, 2 o'clock or something, chatted with the staff out there, did the stats, went out to the river, played for a while. And I had taken enough food with me. There's no shopping out there at all. The local supermarket closed years ago. The nearest convenience store is about 10 minutes by bicycle. There's nothing out there. So I had to, before I went out to the workshop, I had to do some shopping at the station to get food for a couple of days. But then come evening, I guess it's middle of summer still, so the evenings are a bit long. But then what happens, and this quite surprised me, is that I was out there by the river thinking, okay, it's okay, I can, before it gets dark, I'll do this. And then within like a few minutes, like at one point it was afternoon, and a few minutes later it was evening, and then a few minutes later it's black, like it was dark. They just turned off all the lights. And I guess I didn't realize out there in Ome, there are some small street lights here and there, but there's no lighting. There's no building lights. There's no signs. There's no major street lights. There's no nothing. And when it gets dark, it gets dark. And the whole town just shuts down absolutely. So it would have been by 7:30 or 8, it has become the death. There's nothing, not a sound. There's no cars going by. Everybody's got their windows open because it's so hot, but you can't hear anything. There's no TV, there's no nothing. Everybody just goes to bed like 8:30, 9 o'clock. And here in Asakusa, this joint just jumps all the time. So even in the 2 days there, my body clock switched. 8:30, okay, I guess go to bed, nothing else to do. And then because of that, at 4 o'clock, up you come, and the birds are noisy, and the sun's coming up. So this is just an if, I'm not promising anything yet, whatever, but if I do, over this next year, if we talk about maybe slowing down or shutting or closing the Asakusa shop, if I do get back to Ome, Is that a tourist? I thought they were extinct. No, it's not sure. Is it a family or a tourist? If I do end up getting back to Ome for any extended length of time, then I'll be on a different time schedule. And again, this is just an if, and just an if. This stream, we could, instead of starting it at 8 o'clock Tokyo time, it might make more sense to start it at, say, something like 6 o'clock Tokyo time in the morning. And the Europeans, I think, would be very happy with that. That would put it back to like 10 o'clock for them instead of midnight, or 1 o'clock, whatever part of Europe they're in. And for our people in North America, a 6 o'clock start here would be 2 in the afternoon for the West Coast, 5 in the afternoon for the East Coast. I don't know, better or worse, I don't know. You know, work time. Anyway, it's an idea, it's just a thought. Yeah, the Europeans clearly. So, well, you see, the Americans would be at work, but that's been our pattern anyway. Most of the YouTube views are in U.S. daytime when people are nominally at work. I've heard this a lot, and even about the stream, that people have the stream on in one corner of a computer screen at work. You know, that's it. The weekends we go let much fewer viewers on the weekends. Anyway, just a thought about a different way to do things, and maybe we could just do one of the ones each week this way, or something like that. So. "7 a.m. for you? Who would be 7 a.m.? Oh, yeah, in Australia or something, or New Zealand or whatever. If it's 6 in the morning here, what is it? It's 7 in the morning in New Zealand? We had a staff meeting here last night, myself and two of the printers and Tromsø and the Carver, before these people headed off for the summer break. We're planning for next year's series. And there's going to be lots of things different next year's series. Lots and lots and lots of things different. Time for a shake-up. It's time for a change. We've done two really, really wonderful sets of prints in that Japan Journey and the Woodblock Pilgrimage. They've been wonderful sets. The feedback has been fantastic. We've worked really, really hard. The printing team absolutely needs a break from that kind of work. It's been extremely intense, extremely heavily dense, multi-layers of color on small areas. It's been very difficult. It's been wonderful training for them. They've all here advanced a huge amount. And we've got now our institutional knowledge has advanced a great amount here, how to make prints like that. But we need a break. So next year is, the 2021 subscription series is going to be something completely different. And I'm not teasing you by telling you that. I'm not ready to announce it yet. Just simply it is. It's something different. And not only will the theme be different, the way we make them will be different, the team working on the carving will be different, the paper sizes are going to be different, the packing, just everything. It is totally invented from the ground up, a new series. And we're also trying to keep cognizant of the fact that the general economic situation over the next, whatever, you tell me, the next period, year, months, years, decades, whatever, the economic situation is not looking good. So we're not looking at an expensive series. We're pulling back in terms of complexity in the finished printed product, although there's going to be plenty of complexity in the construction. And we had last night, we had a bunch of sample images laid out on the floor. We've got photocopies and sketches, and we were even as we went last night, Dei-chan was scribbling something, how about this? And I did some scribbling, and how about this? And so we're still building it, but the idea is pretty much set. We know what we want to do, we know where we want to go. Why the size of our prints are generally on the smaller size. This is a lot of numbers here. It's basically economics. To make large size prints is of course extremely expensive, and there will be people out there who would, perhaps might buy them. But in general, what we want to be in a position of is selling a lot of prints to a lot of people. So rather than make small runs of expensive prints, we want to make, in general, large runs of less expensive prints. We want the stuff to be accessible, easy to purchase. Is one part of this. The economics of making them, the larger they get exponentially more expensive to make. Another part of it is that our production team here, the ladies working here, are still not the most experienced. Danish Carlson now has, 7 years with us? Dei-chan has 3 years. Their physical capabilities too. These are ladies doing this, and they're people like me. We don't have big muscles here, so huge, large prints take extreme amounts of muscle power, and our labor force doesn't have that. So we're making prints that suit our market and that suit the concept that we would like to do. As I said, get lots of people interested in understanding woodblock prints. And also in general, we are making really high quality stuff in terms of extremely tight registration, extremely careful, delicate work. And the larger you go, the delicacy has no meaning anymore. When you're making a big panel-sized prints, like a bunch of the Yoshida prints and stuff, delicacy just goes out the window. And we want, it's my taste has guided this, and the good ladies here have picked up on my taste. We want to make beautiful, delicate scale objects for the most part. So that means working at the kind of sizes we do. All these things tie together: the economics, the practicality, the buying the sheets of paper and blocks. The larger you go, everything exponentially gets much, much, much more difficult. So it's a number of things, all in combination. Why don't we make bigger prints? Well, really, just simply we can't. We don't have the power and the tools and the materials and the physical stamina. Nor does it suit our overall image of what we want to make. So, well, you're talking about you want to buy more of our prints, but would feel bad if you can't display them all. Remember, I don't know what you know about us or what you know about our concept, but we are not really looking at our prints as being objects to display. I know this goes back many, many years with me and woodblock printmaking, and there's a mismatch between what we are making and why we are making them, and how the consumers want to use the product that we're making. And in general, most people look at these things as being decorations for their home. In our viewpoint, that's not the actual way we look at these things. It wasn't the way they were looked at historically here in Japan. And for us, it's not the way we actually look at them now. We look at them as more in the lines of a beautiful object that you would like to own, and that you would take out and study and look at now and then, show some friends, drink tea together, oh, look at that amazing object, and then pack it away. We don't look on these things as being a home decoration item. There's a few reasons for that. I don't know, the old viewers here have seen, oh, here goes Dave again talking about that same thing, But you put it on the wall, day one, and wow, it looks so cool. You've chosen it well. It fits the space, fits the room. The blue sky matches your couch, whatever. I don't know. It's okay. It's a part of a home image decor. We understand that. But then a month goes by, 2 months goes by, certainly half a year goes by, and you don't even see that thing anymore. It doesn't exist. It's just the thing as you walk down that hallway. There's a thing that goes by on the right-hand side, and you don't stop and look at it. It's a nice print. You don't do that anymore. It just becomes part of the background. And our concept is, you do the subscription thing, whatever, you get the 12 prints, there's the box. Only one of them is on view. It's on your desk, it's in front of you, it's fresh, it just arrived a few days ago, you see it there. You enjoy it, hopefully, blah, 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 learn about it. The next one comes, you put the first one in the box, it can just quietly sleep there for a while. So these are more like a book that you would get, that you would enjoy reading again and reading again. Or a better example would be, it's like a set of CDs that you've got. You've got one a month for a year, and they're on the shelf. And every now and then, or it's in your phone, whatever, they come up on your playlist. Oh, I remember that one, and you listen to it, and it's enjoyable. So that's what the kind of product, the kind of thing, the kind of creation that we are trying to make. It's more like something that would go onto your life playlist rather than that would be in front of you every day. Can you imagine a piece of music and you're going to play it every day? Something on your playlist that played for you every day. It's there on the wall, you see it every day. A piece of music on your playlist. Would you want to play it every day? No. And we see our work as exactly the same as that. The other day I was working here, and I had the random internet radio classical station on, and Beethoven's Pastoral Symphony came up. And I haven't heard that I have no idea, 10 years or something. The time I'm working at Ome, it would have been on my own playlist. I would pop it up. And I heard it, and it came on. And I can't say I really listened to it, because it was a bit BGM. I was working here, and the thing played over there. So there was a semi-BGM aspect to it, which is not so polite for Beethoven, but whatever. Things are what they are. But it came in, and I listened to it and tapped along and hummed along. And then it'll go back in, out of sight now, and I won't think about the Beethoven Pastoral Symphony again for a long, long, long time, until I hear it again. And that's the way we want our prints to be enjoyed. Because they're so fresh. When you see it again for the first time after a long time, they're so fresh. And I really, really, really have never understood why people treat visual work in this way. In the old days, remember, the visual stuff that was created, the art and whatever, the Michelangelo paintings, whatever, they weren't for one person. They were in a church and they were there every day, and every day different people came in and looked at them. It made sense, of course. It was a public thing. And then I suppose what happened, the logical progression, some people got rich and said, I can have my own Michelangelo, and they did, and they put it up and they hang it on the wall in their own palace, whatever. And that's how this thing started. The idea that you would own a picture and hang it on the wall. But that's really missing a huge, huge thing about how they work, Hundreds of years of going down the wrong path. I'm right. Every other artist in the world is wrong, right? So it's funny, maybe I'm actually excuse me, maybe I'm actually one of the world's biggest hypocrites. We make pictures, we put them out there, people give us money for it, we eat our rice and we enjoy, and everybody's sticking them on the wall. Something we don't like. So I'm actually a total hypocrite. We're making money on this and we don't believe in it, so whatever. A John Linky debate over here. Okay. Karen Summers, I'm struggling with her collection. Whatever, I know. There's a thing in Japan, they've tried to do it this way. Remember, in Japan traditionally, people were not framing stuff on the wall, ever. But they were displaying things. In the upscale, if you were, rich, if you're a rich person, you had a tokonoma, the alcove in your tatami room, and you had a scroll, and you had a collection of scrolls. In your storeroom, you had a shelf, and the scrolls were all rolled up there, and it's, let's see, next week's tea ceremony, bed guests are coming, what do I need? The lady would look through camellias, well, that's a good one. She would pull out the scroll, hang it up, put the other one away. So if you had the means for it, you had a display space, and a storage space. But you never, ever, 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 ever left the same thing hanging there for longer than, X days or a couple of weeks at the max. And also in that sense, they were very seasonal touch, so they would change the thing for the seasons. So separate your display space from your storage space. With a scroll, it's easy, it's built in. Roll it up, put it away, open it up, bang. With a woodblock print and a frame and stuff, it's more difficult. You're going to frame everything, put them all in your storage space, bring them out and hang them up. Not practical. That's another reason why we keep our prints small. Our sets have their own built-in storage box and display. They store inside, they display on top. This is the shopping channel, whatever. So yeah, separate the things. Separate the two things. I love getting my prints out to show guests. I'm not sure they enjoy it as much as I do. One, who cares? And two, show them, talk to them. I mean, show them why you like it, or don't bore them off their skull, but explain some of the things about it that you like, and maybe they'll pick up on it a bit. The easy one, of course, is the light. You get a side light over your desk, a desk lamp or something. Look at it with a raking light, and everybody always goes, "What's that?" So that's number one. That's easy. And if they don't enjoy it as much as you do, don't sweat it. It's none of your business. On the wall, they might see it and ask for information. Yeah, but like Karen said, separate the two things. Put it on the wall, okay, but change it out, switch it out, put it away. Don't leave the same thing sitting on the wall all the time. Of course, you do what you want to say. Am I a hypocrite? Because we have this philosophy, but we're selling to people who we know mostly are putting it on the wall. So am I a hypocrite? No, of course not. Like the young man here, somebody here said, once I buy it, I can do with it what I want. I get that, of course. I'm not fighting or arguing with anybody. Just I was poked about some points, and I'm describing our own thought about it here, you know. Whatever, opinions are opinions, guys. If you don't like it here, you know where the buttons are to get away. What's the current design? This is the 8th print in what was started many, many years ago, what I call the Arts of Japan series. It was my personal subscription series. Started in, I think it was 2012. And it was supposed to have been finished by 2014. No, it must have started 2013. It must have been, whatever, I can't remember about that. It was supposed to be finished by about 2014 or so, but the Kickstarter Ukiyo Heroes project got in the way. Our life changed dramatically. I hired a bunch of people to do things. And my own printmaking project actually got just shuffled aside. It didn't get cancelled or stopped. It just, the next print, not quite sure when they'll be ready, people. And that's what this is now. I don't have free time now. I'm busier than I've actually ever been. It's chaos now these days. But for the duration of these streams anyway, I've been using this as the model work to use during the stream. If you're curious, it's on woodblock.com/arts. Excuse me. That's where the previous prints in this series are. This is, I think, number 8. It might be number 9. I can't remember, actually. It's been so long since I've done it. How's our time here? 8:44. The construction on the street is over. Well, no, there's three things actually underway at the moment. It's the August season right now. It's the Obon season, and lots of companies and construction things and whatever are shut down. So I don't think anything's over at the moment. 2 doors down from us, it's just off to the right on the street view here. There's a renovation of a shop underway. At the moment, it's padlocked and closed up. That's the place we've seen the truck unloading goods. It's still very much underway. Then there's another renovation underway. It's the building, you see the Skytree in the distance, what looks like the building below it with the two rectangular windows and the green awning. It's partly blocked by the junk in the way. That renovation is still underway. And I imagine maybe 10 days or 2 weeks from now, things will be back up and bouncing and noisy there. There's never any time, we've learned, there's never any time on this street when the construction's all finished. As soon as one starts, there's another one. Another shop has collapsed. Somebody else tries to do something. At the moment behind me, in the streets behind here, I walked last night down Shin Nakamise, and there's for lease signs here and there. I've never seen that before. Never. Shops change a lot, but we never see the for lease. It never goes empty, because as soon as somebody starts to think about shutting down, the background comes, the networks come into work, and the next tenant is up and ready and running before the first one has even filled his truck, But now there are actual empty shops out there, which is something I've never seen before. You know about pain? I don't know, I didn't see the question, I'm sorry. Your hand shouldn't hurt? Oh no, I didn't see the question. Do my hands hurt? No. I know there's no major stress and strain. It's all very delicate work. Somebody asked, why do we make small prints? That's another one. I know Asakusa it's morphing. You can see actually it's morphing back. I know the last few years there's been this staggering emphasis on inbound tourism. And what's happening now is there's actually a major shift taking place. Shops that are aimed at the overseas tourists are shuttered, like mine, or closed. And given now that it's clear now, absolutely clear, that it's not going to be just a question of a few months. Abe-san and his gang are still talking about having the Olympics next year. We just laugh so hard about this. The Olympics next year, like, give me a break. It's my pet theory on this is it's because of the insurance questions. The government here clearly can see there's no chance of an Olympics. The airplanes are all selling all their airplanes. The government itself has closed the borders. Nobody can come in, except some, whatever tiny fragment of people. And yet they're still pretending there's going to be an Olympics. This guy walking by with a can of Coke. I thought it was a camera. It was a can of Coke. They're still pretending it can happen. And they're ignoring a huge thing, for an athlete to run on this. There's different, each country has its own group of games to get the people together, or the Asian Games happen and the people that get the top places in the Asian Games go to the Olympics. None of these pre-events are happening, and they haven't been happening for a year. So even the people who want to do the running and stuff, maybe the athletes from New Zealand, they're in pretty good shape because they're able to practice, but the athletes from somewhere else can't do their practicing. You couldn't even have an Olympics sensible competition, let alone the people come and watch in the stands. So it's not going to happen. But Abe-san, this is again Dave's pet theory here. Abe-san can't be the one to say, okay, here we go. We see the handwriting on the wall. We can't do this. We are going to cancel the Olympics. If he said this, then the network broadcasting company, they go to their insurance company. They've spent bajillions of dollars on this. They go to their insurance company and say, okay, we want to claim. We want to get our money back, whatever. And because somebody else has canceled this. So the broadcast company says, due to a situation out of our control, he canceled it. We can't do this. Give us our insurance money back. But the Tokyo end then couldn't go to their insurance companies to get it back because it won't be circumstances outside their control. The insurance company will say, no, you canceled it. You chose to do this. Sorry, that's your choice. No insurance money here. So nobody can be the first one to move. Not the IOC, not the broadcast company, not the Tokyo Olympics Commission. These three huge groups. As soon as one breaks ranks and moves, the other two can claim insurance. So nobody wants to be the first one. Again, this is my pet theory. I know nothing about the international insurance business, but it seems pretty much like that's the way it's working. So everybody's got to pretend that it's happening, wait for the other guy to crack, and then claim their insurance money. Okay, let's zoom out. We're going to do some hammering. Okay, a small amount of hammering now. We have a limiter, compressor, whatever on our channel. So the noise here should not be overbearing. But if you are wearing headphones, be careful. The next few minutes, I'm going to make noise. What will happen is this. It's a three-stage process to carve these blocks. First stage you saw was with the knife doing the outlines. The second stage, which we will partially do now, will be to use the larger chisels and take away all the area outside the carved areas. And then the third stage will be to join those two. Because these chisels can't go right up to the carved lines, they stay a little bit away. Stage 3 is to remove that intermediate stage. Now, it's no fun for everybody for the next half hour just to watch me banging. So what I will do now, I'm going to clear around one area here as part of stage 2. Then we'll put this away for a minute and we'll come into stage 3. Someone's saying, I love stage 3. So do I, but it's the most dangerous of the different stages. So hold on to your whatevers. Give me now 2 or 3 minutes to make some noise here, and then we will come back again to quiet work. And as I mentioned, if you're on headphones, for the next couple of minutes at least, please be careful. Are we ready to go? Okay, glasses off, glasses on. Okay, I think that's as close as we want to live dangerously here. So, no dramatic kind of power works. Let's do a bit. Let's up. Before I move on to stage 3, anybody still here? I don't know. So it's question answer. You guys are handling it, are we? Okay, no problem. Good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, let me upscale. This is going to be a bit louder because I'm now going to clear it with the wider chisel. So this is a little bit louder than what you just heard. Okay, there's enough to go on for now. Anybody still with us? I don't know. That's a sample of how it works on stage 2. Let's get back in here. So you get the idea now. You can see it. There's a bunch of stuff's gouged away. And stage 3 now is cleaning up the mess from stage 2 and getting the edge of these things all nice and neat. Where are we? 9:01. Just 15 minutes more, and then we move over to our giant show and tell. Oops, where are we here? Get the zoom out a bit more, I guess. If I'm in too close, I can't keep it on the... Giant show and tell, yes, a giant show and tell today. And it's funny, I hadn't thought about it or planned it or anything like that, but today's show and tell object will actually refer back to the conversation. Was it a conversation that we were having earlier about the idea of showing the prints, putting prints in frames and stuff like that? Ha ha ha, I hadn't planned it this way, I didn't know what was coming up. But it's perfect evidence from my side of that discussion. And we're getting stinky hot here. I don't know what the temperature is in Tokyo. It must be starting to push 30 degrees, I guess. I don't know. If this were Ome, I would just finish carving here and then head out the river for a couple of minutes, then head back. But this is downtown Tokyo, so no such thing. You can see where we're going. Smooth, smooth, smooth. Now, again, it's repetitive. I keep answering the same questions. Once we move to the next step, if I didn't do this smoothing, we don't care about this because it's only going to print up top. What happens down there won't touch the paper. But it turns out that when we are rubbing the pigment, if we're rubbing pigment over here, pigment gets caught on the ridges and grooves and rough spots down there. And when you're printing one print, it doesn't matter. You print two prints, you'll never notice it. But if you're printing 50, 60, 80, 100 prints, pigment down there builds up and builds up and builds up to the point where it starts to rise. It's like an underwater mountain, slowly growing and growing and growing. And eventually it breaks the surface and you get pops. 29, 28 in Tokyo, yeah, it's somewhere around, it's pushing 30. And this is 9 o'clock in the morning, so it's going to get hot. And it's the concrete thing, of course. There is some green here in Tokyo, but it's not local. The green in Tokyo is out in the big parks. So yeah, it's going to get stinky hot. Whatever, things are what they are. And you end up, of course, with the little islands. It's an island surrounded by a shallow sea, gradually deepening the farther away you go. And that's the end goal. That'll be the block for printing. Haven't seen any sign of the boys with the tourist thing, you know, the virtual tours. There seemed a while back there when it was happening all the time every day, but now it seems to have slumped off. I don't know, summer season? Maybe the people overseas, they're on their own vacations now. They don't need to do virtual vacations. I don't know. Here we go. So I'll turn off the outside mic. Right. But here's our construction boys. Look at that. I said that we're going to be away for holidays, and here they are. This project, though, next door here, it really does seem like a very slow-moving, slow-scale project, you know. A lot of the shop renovations here, because Asakusa is such a high-rent, high-traffic, high-activity district, a number of the shop renovations really happen like almost overnight. Not quite overnight, but almost overnight. One shop will disappear, and it will literally be days later when the new one that starts up and running. But what they're doing here is against that pattern. These guys are really taking their time. So I'm sure this is not going to be any kind of a chain store. It's presumably almost certainly going to be some individual personal business, something somebody's planned for quite a long time. Maybe not a lot of financing behind them, I don't know. We'll see what happens. You know, if it was a chain, a new convenience store or something, they're in just almost literally overnight. There's a massive team comes in, they all know what to do. They gut the previous place, build their new stuff. It's like a military operation, you know. That's not what's happening here next door. This is fiddling around, you know. No, the kimono shop is next door. It still hasn't changed. The one that has become empty is what was called Emi. It was a bar. And it closed, I don't know, it's well over a year ago, maybe a couple of years ago it closed. She had problems with some of the local, authorities. And just got old and retired. So, and it's been closed for quite a while. And it's a decrepit fire trap of a building. You think this bad? This is a concrete building. That's a wooden shell. And if you put a match to it, it would be gone in seconds. Seconds. Speaking about that, I was thinking of the Google. Let me cut out from there for a minute. Is John Becker still here? Is he gone off to bed or something? John, are you still here? He's still here. Okay. I found a photo the other day, and I thought I got to show this to John. He's a photographer. I've got to ask him. I get a photo, and you're going to tell me, John-san, where this photo was taken from. The rest of you, excuse me just for a minute. I'll find the photo. It's going to take me a minute here. Add image. I gotta go and find it. I think it's on my desktop. Found it. Okay, it'll probably open too big. I'll have to scale it down. Hang on a second here. There it is. Anyway, not just John, of course. I mean, John's been here a number of times. But any of you who have been here, where was this photograph taken from? And when was it taken? That's us, of course, just off to the right. At the left here, it's still when it was a shoe store. The shop to the left of us in the red building was shoes at this time. And at the right-hand side, this is before the Oyster Shack, and this was before it became an Italian restaurant. Just to the right of our building, you can barely see it, there's a cigarette machine. No, this is long before we came here. I was still in Ome. This is before the Mokuhankan era. And this is a Google Street View, you know, the Google cars running around. And this is from January of 2010. It's 10 years ago. We came in here, excuse me again, we came in here in 2014. Still a jeweler on the first floor. Upstairs is nothing. But where was the picture taken from? John, you said across the street, but this was taken from Hoppidori, the bar street. This is taken from Hoppidori, the bar street, from a Google Street View shot. It's taken when you're walking south on Hoppidori towards the intersection where we are. And it was taken just when the previous buildings were torn down and before they built the hotel. We are looking through a transparent hotel. The hotel doesn't exist. This is just before they started building the hotel. And it's a parking lot. And maybe you can see right in front of our shop there's a big sign hanging with a big P in it. And you can see this yourself, and you can see the whole hotel all around. If you go to Google Street View, I don't know if you guys know this, but in Google Street View, you can go back in time. Up in the top left-hand corner of any Google Street View, you can see there's a button that clicks. I think it's a clock button or something. It looks like a clock. You can click it, and you can select the time. And this is the earliest one I've been able to find about our stuff. And it's so cool. You go back in time, and you start walking around the neighborhood in 10 years ago. There's a slight glitch in the Google system. It's not a glitch. But it's frustrating. When we were walking around in 2010, we'd click to move forward, click to move forward. And once you click to move forward and, oh, I'm in, where am I? And you look at the clock and you're in 2013 now. Because it turns out that in 2010, they took a picture every whatever, and I'm making up these numbers, they took a picture every 100 meters or so. But then in 2020, they're taking a picture every 20 meters or so. So when you're back in time, if you click in between the old pictures, it fills in with a modern picture. So it's crazy. You could click down the street. It's 2010, 2015, 2012, 2010, 2020. So okay, Dave Shop, I'm sorry. Dave Shop here is the gray building with the fish up on the roof. You see the red building, we are the one to the right of this. And you can see this. The black frame, no, the black frame is the sign on the top of the red building. It's blocking our building. That's now gone. It's physically been removed. The tenant who was on the third floor there has gone. Anyway, just for fun, and you can do this. Google Street View allows you to go back in time, but please be aware that if you start moving around, where you are in time can dramatically change as you click. There's one, if you find the front of our building, just look at the front of our building and go back in time, there's one from, I think it's 2015, maybe 2016, they caught me. I was out there in the morning one day, and they caught me. And you talked about a bald spot. John, you can see my bald spot on Google Street View from the spring of 2016. Okay, show and tell. We've wasted enough time now. It's 9:16. Let's zoom out. Yes, Google Street View in 4 dimensions. So, what did I do with my show and tell object? I know, we left it in the care of Mr. Fridge. Yeah, we don't need outside too, just the truck standing. Let's get that out of the way. Okay, it's small. And it goes back to that story, that thing we were talking about a few minutes ago about being able to display, owning things that are beautiful woodblock prints that don't really suit being displayed or stuck on a wall. Hello. Hi, ohayou gozaimasu. どうも。あ、
置いていけばいい
いいですよ。ありがとうございます。どうも。
じゃあ機械ですね。サインしておきましょうか。
どうも、どうも。Thank you.
はい、どうも。
Thank you.
ありがとうございます。
Oh, good news for Chibi Heroes. No, good news for Patreons. It's from Suga-san. I can show it here. It's from Suga-san, our printer working at home, and it is a box of 180 Patreon chibis. I still owe these. They've been making. We've sent out one batch. We sent out the second batch. This is now the third and fourth batch. Patreon chibis are on the way. We are very, very late, but they are on the way. They do exist. I'm not going to bother opening it up because I don't want to show those Patreons on the stream anyway. Those are for the Patreons, and I don't want to spoil their pleasure. Happening. Okay, now. Okay, here we go. What have we got? We have a book. And there is so much to talk about and so much to explain. And I don't know how much of this you guys, I keep saying you guys, it sounds like a stupid Twitch stream or something. Hey you guys, how you doing today? Excuse me, Karen. It looks familiar. The concept is familiar. You have seen some of the same kind of object on this stream before. I found this in Ome the other day on the shelf and I thought, hey, I can take that back. We know what it is. This is a book. And it is a book in what looks like it's made of. Is it better with this off or with this on? No, we can't see the... It's a book of what looks like fabric, but it's not. It's made from actual Japanese paper, color printed, and then after it's finished, it is shrunken down bit by bit. Not the whole book as a whole. Each sheet of paper, as after it's been printed, is shrunk this way, shrunk that way, and it becomes much smaller. They're called chidi men is the paper style, and this is a chidi men bon. Bon is book, hon. And this is particularly interesting because it's dawn of the century. This is the same publishing company we saw before. This is Hasegawa. And we saw him making the fairy tale books, and he made tons and tons of calendars. And I don't know how much you can read. Can you see it here? Calendar for 1901. The months of Japanese children. And there's an interesting argument, which I'm not going to get into here. When does a century start? When it became 1900 or when it becomes 1901. There's lots of interesting viewpoints about it both ways. But this one turned the century at 1901, which is, somebody's got it? Meiji. John, get it right, okay? 1994. And let's have a look. And it's classic Hasegawa style. And as you can see, look at this. And this was a big, big part of Hasegawa's business. He had tourists in Japan at the time who would come and buy from his stuff bookstores in Japan, but he took huge wholesale orders. So this shop, is it still there? Does it still exist? Is it a known name or are they gone? I don't know. Brentano's must be a bookstore, I guess, or a department store. I don't know. My guess is a bookstore. They would have ordered from him maybe a couple of hundred copies of this. He had a wholesale business, and they would have ordered this maybe a year ago. I mean, a year prior to this, to make sure they could get it made and shipped across the world in time to sell for a calendar in New York. And this is a toy. That's not a child up there. This is a standard Japanese toy, which kids played with at home. You put a string across the room, and what happened? The wheel here has a groove in it. The wheels run on the groove, and there's a weight, a counterweight, hanging down below, and the counterweight keeps the cycle on, and the kids can play with the string, lifting it up either way, back and forth, and the little cycle guy just zooms back and forth across the room. Brentano's liquidated back in the 80s. They should have sold more books, more Japanese prints. And it's a calendar. I'm not sure the way that the dates and stuff are laid out are really useful for anybody. I've never seen a calendar vertical starting at Sunday. But anyway, I don't think that's really the main point of a book like this. The main point is the beautiful object. And of course it runs through a year. And this is very much traditional stuff. And the pictures we're going to see are from pretty much high-end wealthy families, the ones that could afford all the doings. And we've got a bunch of stuff mixed together. Flying the flag in the New Year's Day. The kites are a New Year's thing, and she's holding a shuttlecock. No, shuttlecock is the thing they hit. What's she holding? I'll get it. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. Can I get it before you get it? Battledore, John beat me to it. Sorry. Oh well, win some, lose some. Eggs, chocolate eggs all around. No, John's got it. A battledore. Shuttlecock is the thing they hit back and forth. In February, and again, we've got this is an expensive family. This is a rich family with all the right gear. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? SUNMON, they get shorter. TU, then WT. I guess. By the time you get to the second one, you know where you are. I don't know. What's the scale here? You know, there's my hand. It's basically palm size. Do we have an actual? We do have a ruler here. Okay, fair enough. The book itself it's 14 centimeters by 9.5. I guess it's almost the Japanese postcard size, the Japanese Hagaki size. You saw the third one. You can guess what's coming up. This is a book about children's life in Japan. That was February. March is, of course, Doll Festival. San, third day of March. This is for the girls, is the Doll Festival. And 3 of the dolls are real, and the other dolls are on the platform. And again, this is an expensive house. You see the emperor and empress up at top. They're not they're not supposed to be replicating the current emperor. It's a historical scene. You wouldn't have a doll of the actual real emperor who is on the throne at the moment. What's for? Boys playing soldiers. What's it? Excursions under the cherry flowers. In 1901, what's happening in Japan in 1901? Is the Russian-Japanese war still on? Was that? I really don't have the dates done. It's around that time when there was a war between, it wasn't the Soviets, Soviet didn't exist, it was the Russians and the Japanese. The Chinese war had been going on in the late 1890s. The Russians, Japan had a war with the Russians in around 1900, 1902, somewhere in that area. And in 1905, they had their little excursion and they took over Chosen, Korea. Where are we here? These were the years of huge military expansion for Japan. Absolutely huge military expansion. Boys Festival, this is May. I don't know what they're doing. They're beating something. Maybe there's some parts of the festival that I don't know. There's certainly not anything to do with current life here. These boys are beating the tatami. I don't know why. And the traditional helmet, kabuto, is there. And in the background we see the flying koinobori. Again, this is not something that's done nowadays. It says this, the black sign says here, Kodomo Tenno, the children's emperor. Children carry a mikoshi or sacred car. This is June. I know nothing about this. I've never seen this in contemporary Japan. No idea what this is. There are festivals everywhere all year long, but I've never heard of a children's Tenno festival. The binding, you can see it's strings, whatever. Each print, again, without getting into a huge lecture, we have a David's Choice video explaining how these books were made. What you see here, I'm going to fold it back a bit. This is folded. This is a single piece of paper. So this scene and this scene are on different blocks and different sheets of paper. What I'm holding here now is one sheet of paper. It's made, of course, when it was printed, it was flat. There's nothing on the back side. You can see the woodblock print from the reverse. And the flat print would have been made carrying this month, June, and that month, July. After it was made, it was then shrunk with the compression system. And then once all the sheets were together, they were of course sewn. We can skip to the back and we can see it's a fairly thick thread. It's punched through the back, out the front, pulled out the back and sewn tightly. So it's a completely visible binding. There's nothing hidden here. This is not one of those bindings with the sewing in and sewing out and sewing in and sewing out and sewing in and sewing out. It's simply punched and tied. And this paper is really, really strong. It's like fabric. There's no way. If I tried to tear one of these sheets out, it would be a really, really difficult job for me to do. If there's a name for this type of binding, I'm sorry, I don't know what it is. This is nothing that's even remotely related to the contemporary life here in Japan. The festival of Emma, the king of Hades. And again, I see this here. It must have been a thing. For us now, July, if we speak about festivals, we speak about Tanabata. It's the star-crossed lovers in the sky version. Perhaps back in a more older fashioned Japan or anything related to the military stuff, I don't know. But they're telling us here July is an Emma festival. And I have never seen this anywhere in current life. Are they using dyes? No, I think for the most part this is normal stuff. I could take this book and I could put it in water. I wouldn't because it would spoil the wrinkling effect, but these are not aniline dyes. These are, I think, as far as I understand them, for the most part, good, strong, normal Japanese pigments. Some of the red, it's carmine, it's a bright carmine, and it would maybe wash out a little bit, but these are not aniline dyes. Hasegawa was a good outfit. He used, or he had his people do good stuff. This, of course, is still very much a thing. Moon viewing, October, the round dumplings. We will see something like this in our next year's series. Note too, though, this is August, which for us is considered summer. This is a fall image, a fall print. In the old calendar, this is now the approach of autumn. If you made trousers out of this material, it's interesting, there are people doing this now. I know, not as cleanly and carefully roughed up as this. If you search for washi clothing or washi fabric clothing, there's a guy I know, Sugahara-san in Echizen, where they make this paper. He's arranged with some French clothing designers and makers, and he has, I think there's a line now. They provide the washi here, it goes over to France, they wrinkle it and do something with it and make clothing with it. And it's actually a thing that's happening. What have we got here? The festival of Shinmei-sama. Again, another one I have never ever heard of. This looks like the Shinto shrine down in Ise, but I do not know this festival. It's not part of current life here in Japan, in general anyway. And chrysanthemums are October, I guess. I'm not sure if I would have put all these things in the same order these guys have done this, but whatever. And this says Kiku Ningyo, chrysanthemum doll. Should I just zoom in from there a bit? If you made clothing with this, I doubt you could wash it. It would just expand up again, wouldn't it? I don't know. Unless you put some kind of glue or something in there that would hold its shape. I really don't know. I'm sorry. What's November going to be? I don't know. This book is surprising me month by month. So I've given up even guessing on this. The Mikado's birthday, the Emperor's birthday. When is it now? It was December all through the years I was living in the Showa period. I don't know when it is now. I'm sorry. I think it's mixed up now with the Golden Week stuff. It's just changed, so I don't know. We've just changed this last year to a new emperor, so I really don't know. But in this time, now this is the real emperor. This is the Meiji emperor and his empress. What have they done with the calendar? What's with the calendar here? They didn't want to bump into the emperor? Really? Is that what they've done? Really? Wait. This number belongs out here, but they didn't want to bump into this curtain because it's like sacred or something? Did we see that anywhere back in the book? Smack it out, straighten it out, straighten it out. They're all in boxes up to now. Whatever, your guess is as good as mine. No idea. Pretty funny way to run a calendar, but okay. And then, what's the last? Bamboo horse in the snow. Stilts, as we would call it, of course. Stilts. And here we go again, the usual Japanese question. What is the animal? I think we would probably have a consensus that it's a dog, I guess. A dog with a rat head. Is that what it is? Certainly not a cat, though those haunches are dogs, but the head is a rat. I don't know. Someone should do a book on this. There's a hugely interesting book waiting to be done, the inability of the Japanese ukiyo-e designers to draw common animals. They tried drawing elephants and kirin and imaginary stuff, but they could not draw common animals. I have no idea. There's a blemish in the book. Someone at some point on the back has clobbered it, or a horse with very small hooves has walked on it. I don't know what it is. There's no way to fix it. I can't dampen these sheets because of the craping. So, at the back, it's the, oh my God, I'll need my microscope. It says Meiji 30. It says Meiji 30 in September. But wait a minute, Meiji 30, we thought it was 2001. Meiji 30 was what? It's clear, it says Meiji 30 year. We've got it dated that way in Japanese on the back, and in English we have it dated on the front, 2001. So they've made this in advance. That's interesting. Let me double check this to make sure this is not a mistake. Hang on a sec. Let me double check this. Yeah, that's it. It's a chair imprint. So it's been on the floor, and it's a chair leg, and then it's moved again. You got it. It's not a horse running down the street. It's a chair leg. Chocolate eggs. It says Meiji 30. 310 year, no question. So they made this a few years in advance. Maybe that's how long it took to ship it to Brentanos. I don't know. Interesting. Anyway, there we have it. T. Hasegawa, Tokyo. So there we are. Another small object from our collection, of which we have many. And of course, I'm half joking about this. There's no way you can put this in a frame. But this is the kind of thing that, why would you want to own it? It would be part of a collection of beautiful objects. A friend comes over, get a nice light. Here, have a look at this. Let me share this with you. That's in and enough as it is. It's clearly not a decorative object to put on the wall. Okay, there we are. We survived. It's now Saturday morning. I will be back again with you Sunday, Monday again. And for the next, bunch of streams, you know what the work is going to be. It's going to be the work on those color blocks. We are really discussing here at Mokuhanka now what to do. Our lease runs out days from now. At the end of this month, our lease runs out. I have a meeting with lawyers on Tuesday, meeting with the building owner on Thursday. It's not kind of looking good. I know, since I last chatted with you about this, we were thinking, let's go for it. The tourists will be back, whatever, that'll be fine. But the more and more we learn now, the tourists clearly are not coming back. There's not going to be a vaccine. There's not going to be wide-scale immunity. The Japanese are not going to let people back into the country. We have no domestic business. So for us, this building, the ground floor, is completely not being used except for these streams. The second floor, I sleep there. Cameron is gone, he's at home. The third floor is now going to be empty. Everybody's working at home. What's the point for me in hanging on to the 3 floors of a building, paying huge rent, hoping that things will come back to normal? So I don't know. We're not going to close Mokuhankan as a building. We're going to keep publishing prints. We're going to keep making prints. We're going to keep our printers in action. But whether there's actually going to be a Mokuhankan shop ever again in the future is, I'm sorry, it's now looking a kind of bit iffy. kind of a bit iffy. So, and you understand where we are. There's really nothing I can do about it. Patreons have been really helpful. The Patreon money is pouring in, and that's one reason why I'm still here right now, because the Patreon money has basically paid our rent for this. But I cannot ask the Patreons just to keep paying my building, while nothing happens in it. And here, Washi Tree is headed. Where would we train people? We could go back to being a publisher. Dave sits at home in Ome, enjoys his river, sends the blocks back and forth, but none of the printers would work together. We would have no place to train new people. And that's the single biggest thing now in front of me that makes me want to try and hold on to this place. And it's the training. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. Discussions are happening all through this next couple of weeks. My giant spreadsheets are coming in. If any of you have really thoughts about this that you think I might not have noticed or thought about, let me know in email. Things to mix into my big recipe here to try and think about the future of Mokuhankan. This is it. If it picks up in a couple of years, we should hold on to it, of course. But how many years can I throw money away? Anyway, whatever. Not enough. Positive. Think forward. We'll get going with this. Let's go. Ome has empty buildings. We have a building in Ome. The question is Asakusa. We have a building. We can continue. The business will continue. The question mark here is on maintaining a shop in this district of Tokyo. That's the only question. We can continue business. We have lots of ways to do that. Mokuhankan will continue. It's the shop. Anyway, I'll see you again Monday morning. I'm out of here now for 2 days. Out of here. I'm not out of here for 2 days, but I'm working. Talk to you again Monday morning, 2 days minus 90 minutes, and I'll see you then. Thanks so much, guys. I will enjoy reading back through this when I have my lunch. See you then. Nice stuff. See you soon, guys.